Welcome back to the Culturally Distinct Podcast. Your boy DJ KO. I'm glad you guys tuned back into the show, guys. Look, it's a great show. As you can see, my ensemble, we getting ready for the rodeo in Houston. So make sure you get your cowboy boots and your cowboy hats because it's going down. I forget the dates, but it's sometime in February, sometime in March. So make sure you guys, yeah. What she said back there. No. But anyway, guys, I appreciate you guys for tuning in to the show. Much love to my sponsor, 605 Adult Beverages, also to Red Coral Universe. And this show is also brought to you by Audia Jones Law Firm. And just so happened, since this show is going to be sponsored by Audia, Miss Audia Jones, she's a guest on the show today.
Yeah.
How you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you?
Oh, I'm great.
Thank you for having me.
I'm blessed. Guys, let me transition. I got to transition my head
that's
while I'm doing
right.
this. But before I transition, before I get started, Audia, tell the people where you're from.
Originally, where am I originally from? Originally, I'm from Connecticut. So, came here from Connecticut. I'm a native Houstonian now, though.
Okay.
I'm H-Town through and through now, though. But I'm originally from Connecticut. I came here after I played Division I basketball in college.
Okay.
Up north at University of Rhode Island.
Okay.
And then I was like, okay, I want to be an attorney. And I was like, okay, I tore my ACL, I tore my Achilles. I always said I was going to be the first woman in the NBA. That wasn't going to work out.
Okay.
So got into law school. I got into law school in Connecticut and in Houston. And so I had never been to Texas before. But I wanted to always go to HBCU. So I got into Texas Southern Thurgood Marshall School of Law.
Shout out to HBCU.
Shout out to HBCUs. And then accepted the offer. And here I am. And that really...
Okay.
That really, once I got here, I stayed here for law school. Then I went to Capitol Hill, where I worked for late Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee. I came back, started dating my good friend from college, and we're married with 2 kids, and we're not going nowhere.
So you took the whole lifestyle within 1 minute. So I gotta back up. I gotta back up. First of all, I didn't know they had black people in Connecticut.
They have a lot of people say that.
So
there's a lot of black people in Connecticut.
I knew one other person
Really?
that was of color.
What part? Not of color.
Of color. There was from New Haven.
Black, which is right outside of New York. You know how many we have?
But
matter
it's a
of fact,
difference, though.
we have
State.
a lot of Jamaicans in
Yes.
Hartford.
Yes.
So they're black.
What? Well, yeah, they are black. But no, I'm saying that because it's like growing up. I'm taking New Haven because that's where what is that? Yale. You think Yale?
Yes.
In New Haven, right?
Yes,
Connecticut. Yeah,
yes,
Yale.
yes.
So, of course, it's majority white there. Then you have University of Connecticut. Only athletes there are mostly.
Well, that's Storrs, Connecticut. I don't even, it's almost like the other colleges. Most college towns are usually just the college.
Yes.
And even though Connecticut is really 1 hour driving through either way, but Storrs is really a college town. I don't even know anybody that's gone up there or lives up there just because.
And Bristol is there too, right?
Bristol, Connecticut is there. Bristol isn't far from where I was born and raised. I was raised in West Hartford, which is right near Hartford, Connecticut, Bloomfield. There's a lot of minorities there.
Oh, okay. Minorities.
Minority black people.
That's one of those policy
I haven't
words.
been there in a while. Yes, right. I know. I ran for district attorney, so sometimes when I'm on interviews,
right.
Minorities. I get minorities, black people.
So you say you played basketball. So
yes.
how long, like, that journey? Like, you started basketball at a young age or high school?
No. I started probably when I was like 5th grade.
Okay.
And then one of the coaches told me I was good. My parents, I was good when I was like in 6th grade.
Okay.
Like, oh, she's good. I'm like, I'm good? I think I was just good compared to those other girls who were so bad. But then it just kept developing, and I actually did get really good at it. I spent a lot of time on basketball and went all the way through Division I college. University of Rhode Island.
Now, I know they had no minorities there.
They did.
In Rhode Island?
They have a lot of Cape Verdeans.
Yeah,
so shout out to the Cape Verdeans. But there are a lot of Cape Verdeans that were in Rhode Island. And then you're right. Most of the athletes were the black people.
Right.
Or on the athletic team.
Yeah.
So.
Cape Verdeans. Yeah, they have a lot of those in Boston.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Boston has a little town. Like you have like, in most areas you have like Chinatown. You have Jamaican town, you have Asian town, Mediterranean. But Cape Verdeans in Boston, they have an area, like a city. It was nothing but Cape Verdean.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't know what Cape
I had
Verdeans
no
was.
idea. Neither did I. I didn't know that until I went off to college, which, again, my college was only an hour and a half from where I grew up. But I had never heard of Cape Verdeans before.
Yeah, they kind of like Creole in Louisiana.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, some of my best friends in college were Nigerian, so I ate a lot of fufu and
yeah. Well, you know that, that culture.
Yep.
So fast forward. So your parents played sports, or you just was talented?
My mother said she played basketball.
Oh, you don't believe that, right?
I don't know if I still believe that, but shout out, Mom.
Yeah.
She had a little two-handed shot. And my dad said he played football, so.
Okay. You got it from somewhere.
Yeah.
Probably skipped generations.
Maybe.
You never know. So then you say your college career was shattered by a torn ACL and a torn Achilles at a young age.
Yeah. Yep. I tore my ACL preseason of my freshman year, so I hadn't even played yet.
Wow.
So going in, you have to, it's a lot of wear and tear on your body. So we had to come in the summer before all the rest of the freshmen started. Right. And we were doing like 2-a-days, essentially, the whole summer.
For basketball? Mm-hmm. Wow.
So we did 2-a-days. So we would start lifting in the morning, probably like 4 or 5 in the morning. Mm-hmm. We would do our lifting, and then we would go get rest, and then we'd come back for like actual more of a basketball type workout. And so that's how I tore my ACL. It's like a jump stop, full court. Full speed.
It buckled.
It buckled, and then that was it.
That's a common industry when it comes to college. Now it is because the kids are now, they're faster, stronger, bigger. Yeah. And, for them to have all that weight and all that power and that force, they tear a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. That transition from the East Coast to Texas during that time.
Yes.
Because, Texas is still, well, let's say this. Texas is still kind of country, but Houston, Dallas, Austin, the municipal cities are really not. But Texas as a whole is a real country place. That's why I have my hat on. So what was that transition when you came down here?
Oh, it was a smooth transition. I will say a lot of stuff I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, oh, that's real? So I remember, my first thought of Texas was when came here for orientation. First day of law, I think I got here maybe a week before law school started. And I was driving on Scott Street. Mm-hmm. And
he's in the hood.
Well, that's where I lived. That's where my apartment was.
Oh, okay.
I had a good friend, and she was from New Jersey. She was like, hey, there's a Scotland Yard's apartments. It was near one of those Jamaican spots.
Project.
And
it was a project.
It was an apartment. I had a good time. I enjoyed it. It was good, a good place to study. But in any event, I was driving down Scott Street, and I saw people on horseback, and then they had like a do-rag on and drinking a 25-cent juice. So I was like, in Connecticut, if you have a horse, that means you have a lot of money. And so when I saw, it was such a interesting contradiction. It was like, you in the hood, someone got a do-rag on, drinking a 25-cent juice on an expensive horse. So I was calling people. I was like, they really, they're just riding a horse to the corner store, and they got cowboy hats on and cowboy boots. So it was all new to me. But I loved Texas. It took some time to grow on.
I was going to ask you that because
that's why I left the first time.
Because think about that. Do-rags, that's a stereotype in itself. Mm-hmm. Riding a horse, that's a stereotype in itself.
Yeah.
Drinking a 25-cent juicy juice. And now you in the hood also.
In the hood.
So you have 4 different stereotypes going on.
Yeah.
And you're coming from another place. It's like, where am I? I'm
and
confused
there was no
right
zoning. So you got a big house next to the projects, that was all new to me. I was like, what is this? But the weather, loved the weather.
What year was this?
This was
2000?
2000. We graduated in 2011, 2008, right before Hurricane Katrina. Yep.
Oh, so you got
So I got all the
people from Louisiana.
All the people from Louisiana.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And you had just moved here.
I didn't know about that until the people in Houston was like, why they coming here? Why they So I didn't understand that dynamic either.
So you was fairly new to everything pretty much.
Yes.
Well, that was kind of odd because, that was unique. Because that situation was unique.
Yes.
A lot of people migrated to Texas.
Yeah.
So you left. You said you left and went back to Connecticut?
I never went back to Connecticut. No, I never went back to Connecticut. I left and went to Washington, D.C.
That's right. You worked for the late Sheila Jackson.
Correct.
Sheila Lee Jackson.
On Capitol Hill.
So what did you major in?
For undergrad?
Undergrad.
For undergrad, my major was business management.
So you came to Thurgood.
for law school.
I got you. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, but you was in politics early.
Correct. Yeah, I got in politics. Not intentionally. I was in politics, but I was handling her House Judiciary Committee portfolio.
Okay.
So the late Congresswoman, she actually went to law school. She was an attorney. And the Judiciary Committee is full of congressional members who are all attorneys.
Right.
So that's the committee she put me on over for her. So I had my law degree, and then I went to D.C. and took the bar there. So I'm actually barred in Maryland as well.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I'm barred in Maryland, but I never practiced law in Maryland. So I only worked on Capitol Hill. So Capitol Hill is more transactional. We did a lot of like writing talking points and going to those hearings.
Yeah.
The little people you see sitting behind the congressional.
Yeah.
That was me.
Oh, okay.
Like if you ever looked on I was sitting behind her.
Yeah. Well, you look on MSBN,
Yeah.
NBC. They come up and they make
Yeah.
their,
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you whisper in their ear.
Yes, exactly. That's
Yeah,
it.
I
That's
got
it.
you, yeah.
That's what I did. That's what I
Okay.
did.
And how long was that?
I did it for a year.
Okay.
So it's one of those positions. The cost of living in DC is very high.
Yes.
And I did want to get into practicing law. So
Okay.
I went applied for some other jobs, got into Bloomberg BNA. I became an analyst for the Affordable Care Act. So I was on the Hill when President Obama was the president. So
Okay.
that was a great time to be there.
So why you didn't stay in D.C.?
It's cost of living. Cost of living.
Because this, well as I do, D.C. is like one of those places for, I'm gonna use your term, minorities that are extremely powerful when it comes to politics.
Definitely.
That's why they stay there.
Definitely. But, a lot of times in D.C., they get hung up on titles. They don't pay much.
Yeah.
So you're there struggling. Everybody's struggling, but they're like, I work for the government, though.
Yeah.
And so, it's like a moral victory. And I didn't want a moral victory. I actually wanted to do well, and I wanted to establish roots. And I was like, well, if I get married and have kids, is this somewhere do I want my kids hopping on the train and going to school? And that's just not.
Where you were staying in Maryland during the time? Or you staying in D.C.?
I was living in D.C.
Oh,
in
you was
Brooklyn.
balling.
I was right near.
You was balling. You was in D.C.?
I had a roommate. My dad came down there and put tin foil. He had to put aluminum foil over the entrance of our door because if someone came up to the door, they could see where I live, which is in the loft part. And so, no, I had a roommate, and I had to walk through her room to get to our closet, which we shared, to get to the bath. It was not big balling.
That was a good time.
It was a good time. I was single, and I could look back and laugh. And
Because D.C. is still, the Hill.
yes,
Most people
that's where I
that
work.
move there, they live on the Hill now. 'Cause the Hill is a nice place
Now,
to
the
live.
Hill's a nice place to live.
Yeah.
I didn't have Hill money.
Oh, yeah.
Not at
Hill.
that time.
Yeah, you got to have a little money.
You got to have Hill money. You got to have a lot of money.
Even now, I don't know when the last time you've been to D.C., but now over there where Howard is, like U Street and all that stuff,
Yeah.
that was a hood, right? All that stuff is gentrified.
It was,
now.
yeah, it was gentrifying when I left, though. Right around that time, I'm like still kicking myself now because my husband, who I was just friends with at the time, there were those houses, those condos that they were building on Florida Avenue, U Street.
Yeah.
And they were trying to bring young black professionals in
Yeah.
there. And I was like, no, I'm not going to stay. I'm not interested. I think they were going for like maybe 75,000, 100,000.
Really?
Those places like millions now.
Yeah, they're millions in the millions now.
Yeah. So
Even on the southwest side in the hood, they're super
not anymore.
expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Everybody
crazy.
wants to be there.
So fast forward. So you came back to Houston and said, you know what? I want this family life. How old were you at this time when you came back?
When I came back, I was probably maybe 25.
Okay, so you're still young. Still, you did all that at that age? Damn, you did that young.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Girls are smart.
You got going early.
Girls are smart.
No, I just knew I wanted to be an attorney. I know I wanted to make good money, and I knew I wanted to be somewhere that facilitated that.
Okay.
And that was supportive. And I will give it to Houston. Houston will support. They will support solo entrepreneurs.
Yes.
Black people,
Yeah.
minorities.
There you go. Good job. Good job. Shout out to the blacks. Blacks.
They do.
the blacks.
We have a friend that made a joke about me because I kept saying minorities. Like the blacks live here, Audia. I'm
The
like,
blacks.
Gotcha.
Donald Trump for the blacks.
Yeah. Shout out to Corey and Takesha. So, but anyways, I knew that Houston had that. And I really had all of my foundation and my roots in the law was here. So all my resources were here. And then, again, I had started dating. Deshaun was doing great here.
Yeah.
He was in private practice. He's calling me, showing me. I'm like, I'm
And
over
he's
here
also
getting my
an
car
attorney
towed.
right this
Yeah,
time. Yeah.
he's a judge now, but
Okay.
yes, he was an attorney at the time.
Yeah. But one thing about Houston, I say this: opportunity.
Yes.
There's a lot of opportunity. Even
Yes.
now, from
Yes.
back then to this point, it's a lot
Yep.
of opportunity. People
Yep.
that move here, young people, old people. Well, old is relative. Older people.
Right. Right.
Yeah. That's great. So now, you got into what type of law did you get into?
When I first got here,
Yeah.
when I first got back, I was doing some family practice. I was doing a little bit of family.
Okay.
So I really didn't know what I wanted to do and what I didn't want to do, because remember, I was working on Capitol Hill.
Right.
So I wasn't practicing law. I hadn't touched a courtroom.
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't been in a courthouse. But my husband, who I was dating at the time, he had been trying cases. He had been doing like civil work, criminal work. And so he suggested, he was like, hey, why don't you take a job at the prosecutor's office? He's like, it'll give you the experience you need in the courtroom. You'll get to do a lot of criminal work. You'll introduce yourself to the legal world, because at the time, none of the lawyers knew who I was.
Right.
And so that's what I did. I started a little bit of family. That wasn't for me. Very contentious, very low return. But shout out to the family attorneys out there.
You don't get paid for that.
No,
Yeah.
not me. If you don't mind the drama and the chaos,
Yeah.
I'm not built for that.
Yeah, like divorce.
My
yeah.
line sister, she knows that. Michelle knows that. So I'm just not built for the drama. And so I became a prosecutor. I got the job there, and that was great. I mean, the first day I was at work, they tried to put me into trial, and I had never been to trial before. I just so happened I went and watched like the week before and saw like you're supposed to stand up when the judge talks to you, sit down when they say certain things.
Oh wow, you
I
learning on the job.
Yeah, you literally learned on the job.
Yeah.
And then I learned I was actually really good at trial. I ended up getting to be really good at it. Got a great reputation. The legal field knew me. The attorneys got to know me. I got known as fair but firm. They're like, she'll smile, she'll talk real sweet, but they're like, if she says she's going to trial, she's going to go to trial.
You know what's funny? You say that. Deion Sanders said something. He said every situation that he was put in, it was a situation that he was not prepared for. It was like God put him in a situation where he had no idea.
Right.
Like chaos.
Yeah.
So that story you're saying, it's similar to that, and you learn. I use this analogy at work all the time. It's like we're flying a plane. I mean, we're fixing building
a
while
plane
we're
as you fly. I always say that.
Because basically you don't know.
No, you don't.
I would
know.
have watched Law and Order. I'd have been like, okay.
Listen. It's only because Deshaun told me, hey, go in a week early, just see the judge you're gonna be working for, and they had a trial going on that day. I think they were waiting for me to fail, honestly. I think they were honestly hoping they were waiting for me to fail. They're probably gonna laugh, but when I ended up, I had watched, and I'm good at mimicking. So I was like, okay, this is what I need to do. This is how opening goes. I wouldn't have known any of that.
Did you take any psychology courses?
I did. I took like one or two.
Because that's psychology. So psychology basically is you mimic what the other person does. So like especially in your field,
yes.
someone is talking, they fold their hands.
Yep.
You
then
fold
I
your
fold
hands.
my hands too. I match
You
the
tiptoe,
energy.
they tiptoe. You fold your hands, they fold their hands.
It makes people more comfortable.
Yeah.
It makes people feel more comfortable. It's
Psychology.
called reptile theory.
Yeah,
Their
that's what I
books
said.
about
Actually,
it.
you take psychology. See what I'm saying?
I did.
Yeah,
Reptile
yeah.
theory.
So now, you did you win that case, by the way?
I did.
Okay.
I
So
did. There were very few trials that I can remember that I lost. And I
Wow.
wouldn't say lost. Where the person was found not guilty. But then that's also why I became very selective of what cases I actually
Yeah,
brought
you
to
want to
trial.
select, yeah.
Because I knew I was good, and I didn't want to use it as a weapon against people that I didn't think were guilty of whatever we were bringing.
Wow. So that's kind of like that's like an anomaly
Yeah.
to win your first case and you didn't know what you was doing at the
Didn't know
beginning.
what I was doing. I had no idea.
Wow.
I had no idea.
Either you're extremely smart or they was like not prepared.
No, they were prepared. I remember the first attorney, and he might be. I mean, hopefully he sees this. If he doesn't, he was an attorney. I remember he was a former nurse, and I will say I studied the craft. Like I can watch a video or I watched them train. Like that night, I know I went home. We didn't end up going to trial that particular day. But I knew the trial got reset for like the end of the week or the beginning of the next week. So I went and watched a bunch of like videos on YouTube. And then my husband at the time, he had he had a bunch of CLE videos of some really good attorneys that were great at trial.
Yeah.
And I went from like jury selection, watching jury selection to opening statement. So I really just pulled pointers from what I watched and
Wow.
went to trial.
Are you a Gemini?
I'm not. I'm a Scorpio.
Oh, because that's Gemini
You know,
traits.
we're calm under fire.
Because Gemini, you know, you can watch something,
No,
you see
no.
it, and then we master it.
No, Scorpios are calm under fire. Like I was nervous. My armpits were sweating, but I'm like, you look calm on the surface.
Right.
I think as long as you look calm and confident, a jury will, they'll pick. They have to pick which attorney they're gonna follow.
Yeah.
It's like a shepherd. So it's like who are they? Who's gonna be the shepherd? Is it gonna be you, or is it gonna be the defense, or is it gonna be me as a civil attorney, or the defense? And so for me, like you said, the reptile theory, I make people feel comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
I make them feel like they want to share information during jury selection. If they like you more at jury selection, 9 times out of 10, they're going to follow what you tell them.
I got you.
And so your trials are really won and lost at jury selection.
Yeah.
So.
What's that statement in law? It says it's not what, how does it go? It says it's not, I forget how, it's not what I can't think of it. Oh, it's
Is it not what you say? How you say it?
there was something about it's what you can prove in court. It's what
Oh,
you
it's not what's true. It's about what you can prove.
in court.
Yeah. That's
yeah.
it. Yeah.
I had to learn that. I learned that from a attorney buddy of mine, and I was like, that doesn't make sense. He's like, sometimes the truth is the truth, but it's not the truth
Yeah.
if the jury doesn't think it's the truth.
Correct.
So I was like, that's our system, right?
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
the system.
Yeah.
So fast forward. So how long did you do family law?
Oh, family law was short. About 6 months.
6 months.
Yeah.
Oh, why you? Oh, that's it.
It was short. I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do since I had just moved back from
Okay.
DC.
So now 6 months. So in your mind right now, you're 26 years old. 26. I don't want to do family law no more because too many divorcees. They splitting over. They don't want to
It's
split.
just a little too dramatic. for
Right.
me.
So now you say, okay, what I want to do? I want to make some money.
No, not yet. Remember, I became a prosecutor.
Okay.
Yes. So then
Okay.
I worked in the Harris County DA's office.
So how long was that?
5 years.
5 years.
Yeah.
And now, to this point, you're
Then I
okay.
Yeah. And so next thing I did, I said,
You got the whole story,
I know
right?
that's my girl. That's my girl. Yes. So after that, it got to a point where, like you said it was an anomaly, right? Where I was like actually choosing. I'm like, I'm not taking everybody to trial. Yeah, I became that person. They started calling me Malcolm X in the office. They were like, oh man, you won't just, there was supervisors. I was like, go ahead and terminate me. They're like,
Really?
well, you got to take this case to trial. I was like, I sure don't. I was like, I don't believe they did it. I'm like, I'm not going to do that.
Oh, you was that type of attorney.
Yeah, I was that type. But by that time I was married, and then Deshaun, my husband, is in the military, so we had TRICARE. So I was like, well, whatever. I got health insurance.
Right.
I can start at my own practice. I can do something else. But I wasn't going to be in a position where I was forced to prosecute
something
people.
that you didn't want to do.
There was too much on the line.
You can tell it's a system.
Correct.
It's a system way of how court cases are like judged and how certain things. I know you can't talk about
it's
it.
really I can. It's really based on stereotypes, honestly. I mean, because if you have somebody that, let's say they did do something earlier on in life, and they were 19, 20, and they got found guilty, and let's say they went to prison for a year, or prison for 2 years, right? And now they got like tattoos, or they fit a stereotype of what you see on TV. 90% of that jury, what they've done most of their life is they watch TV, worked a 9 to 5, came back home, watched more TV. And so they believe the stereotypes. So they're judging those people that are sitting in the defendant's seat before we even start the trial. So, it's more proving yourself not guilty or being selective as far as being a prosecutor. So when I realized that the system was tilted towards more black people, I got tired of seeing like young black men being brought in on those chain gangs.
Yeah.
They were taking, you imagine sitting in a courtroom every day, and every day you see young black men, young black women, young Hispanic men, young Hispanic women, and they're taking like 40 years, 60 years, 65 every day.
Yeah, it was a system.
That is,
It's still
it
a
became
system.
too much.
It's still a system against minorities. And if you're not in the court, like if you're not in the courts or in the jailhouses or in that type of that system, you don't see it.
Right.
But like police officers and judges and lawyers, they see it all the time.
All the time, every day.
I had a homegirl I went to college with. She said she stopped being an attorney because of that reason. She was like, it's like,
Well, that's why I got out of. Well, that's why I left being a prosecutor, because I said there's only so much of a change I can make, and I'm like, where am I going to make the most impact with something like this?
Okay.
So I ran for DA.
District attorney. Okay.
Yeah. So I ran.
For Harris County.
Correct.
Okay.
So I stepped out of the seat. I turned around and ran against my boss.
Wow.
So that was interesting. And
they didn't have no sabotage. It was like,
oh,
no.
she tried.
Oh,
She
because I
tried.
know how
She
that's
tried.
dirty.
She tried. She tried to ignore me at first. They had tried to act like it was a joke. And
What year was this?
this was in 2019, 2018.
Oh, this was recently, before COVID. Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah, 2018 to 2020, I ran.
Audia Jones,
Yeah.
the DA.
Yeah, and so we were endorsed by Bernie Sanders, got endorsed by Sean King, the Real Justice PAC,
So
John
take me
Legend.
through that process. I want to know about that process. I never actually spoke to anybody on record about that process of running for DA.
Okay.
Right. First of all, DA, district
Yes.
attorney.
Yes.
That's the person that's the ultimate attorney of the. Well, isn't that the person
Yeah,
that's the
a
ultimate
criminal.
attorney for
Criminal cases, criminal matters.
in the county?
Correct.
Right. So now, how was that process? Take me through that process.
So when I stepped out of my prosecutor seat, my husband, again, he's usually the plug. So shout out to Judge Deshaun Jones. He had put me in touch with Alec Karkashian at the time. Like, you know how some of the times you'd be like, oh, the stars kind of align.
Yeah.
It was one of those things where bumped into Alec Karkashian. I went to some criminal panel, met him, talked to him, was like, hey, I just left the DA's office, thinking about running. So thought about running, and matter of fact, someone else had brought it up that I should run. It was Rodney Ellis, even though he ended up turning against me. He turned against me. They put in this other AKA, and she tried to jump in the race and run against me. So I'm still a little bitter about that, but we're past that now. In any event, he said, hey, a Real Justice PAC is looking for someone to support. They want a good candidate. You guys are the 4th largest county in the United States. So got in touch with them, did an interview with them. They wanted to endorse me. Sean King backed that whole organization. And then from there, it just like took off to the races.
So you had the funding. Huge. You had the campaign. You had the marketing funding.
Well, not the funding. Not the funding. So I did not have the funding.
So what's his name? Caucasian?
Alec Karkashian.
Karkashian. Was he the money guy?
No, he wasn't the money guy. He was just the plug.
Okay.
So he worked with the judges on the bail reform. Remember the big bail reform that took place? Right. He was the attorney that worked with them on bail reform. But so he had the inside connection with a lot of these people that were about criminal reform that had platforms.
But they didn't want that at the time.
I got the platform. I didn't get the funding. So that was my problem. And the reason I didn't get the funding is because Rodney Ellis interjected. We be our own worst enemy. So
Precinct 1.
Yeah. So I didn't get the funding from Soros. I had done the interviews. They interjected. They decided they didn't want me to get that position. They stepped in. They ruined it. Whatever. They said, hey, we're not going to give you the $1 million. Keep your campaign going. So we got a lot of small dollar donations, but we just weren't able to match the funding that the current DA had.
Yeah.
So got a ton of publicity. It worked out in my favor. Got a lot of lifelong friends and clients from that. So that is how I then parlayed that into my firm.
What you do
called
now?
Audia. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, that's an interesting story. So, yeah, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
I never knew that.
Yes.
So one. So shout out to your husband, Deshaun, for being a plug.
Yes.
Right.
Always.
And putting you. Well, it's like you say, it's like a perfect mixture. So you had Deshaun, who was the plug. You had the wit, the brains, the understanding to run. The only thing you guys was missing was the funding.
Yeah. Yeah.
The funding,
which is the biggest piece.
Yeah. That's like 85% of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I take it you're gonna run again for DA.
No, I'm right, and I'm glad you said that. Quick segue. I am 100% behind my husband, who is facing lawsuits.
Okay.
He's in an appeal right now. They are trying to make him have another election for a seat he rightfully won. So if you are available January 30th, you guys come out, sit with us in the courtroom.
But what are they
downtown
doing?
Court of Appeals.
So I don't want to.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to ask a quick question. Why are they doing that when all that stuff is over?
It's over. It's a Republican judge trying to get rid of the Democratic judges on the bench.
It sounds like Donald Trump-ish.
It is. Very Donald Trump-ish. That's perfect way. Donald Trump in Houston.
Who was the president last year? It was
Joe Biden.
Joe Biden. When
Yeah.
Joe Biden won, and he said, no, he didn't really win. We need a
Right.
recount. And this is 2 years after.
Yeah, same thing.
That's crazy.
Same thing. So I am behind him in his political battles and struggles. So I am there, cheering him on, giving him whatever support he needs. But no, I am focused on fighting for justice in the civil realm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and you do, now you do accident and
Injury. So, and wrongful death.
Okay. So that's mostly what? Automobile?
So we do, truck
Heavy
accidents,
machinery.
car accidents. We do death cases, shooting cases. We do a lot of apartment shooting cases.
Okay.
We do jail deaths. We do Uber, Lyft accidents, slip and falls.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fulfillment. I want to ask, what fulfills you?
Oh, I love it.
Because you have a resume that's like all over, right? But it's at the same time, it's for the public and it's meaningful. What actually fulfills you?
Fighting for the underdog.
Okay.
I love fighting for the underdog. Like, I don't know. I was always that kid. You always seen these kids, right? You have kids?
Yeah.
You have kids. So somebody always has a kid that's like, you got to stand up for your friend. Like, stand up for somebody if they're quiet. Like, I was always that kid. Like, even if I didn't hang out with this kid, if I thought people were picking on them, I'm like, come on, you can come sit with me. Like, let's have lunch together. Like, I don't.
Where'd that come from, though?
Probably my parents.
Yeah, sisters and brothers?
I have a
Siblings?
brother. I have one brother.
Older or younger?
Older.
But
13 months.
so you was the baby. Well, 13 months. That's
It's not really.
about the same age almost.
We were Irish twins, I guess they
Right,
call it that.
yeah.
It's gross.
Right. That's right. That's right
gross.
behind each other, right?
Yeah, it's just gross.
She ain't even healed up yet.
Yeah.
No, but
I mean, look, everybody thinks about it. Yay.
13 months.
You might as well just go ahead and
wow.
say it. Right.
So yeah, okay, so you, when they had the bully in place, you was the one to defend.
Always.
Even
Always.
when you was an athlete. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, even as an athlete. But my mother even says it. She's like, even when you were a little kid, you were always that kid that would be friends with the kid that nobody wanted to be. And not so much like, oh, I'm gonna be like you, but I'm like, come over here, come kick it with us. You're good.
Well, that's dope. That's dope.
So-
But I after Deshaun wins the appeal,
Yeah.
I see in your future that you're gonna be like DA or something like that, or like the judge. I think you should run for a county judge.
Oh.
One of those, because I think you need a woman. So all right, so I'm
Well,
okay.
we do. We have a county judge as a woman.
But she's gonna be gone in a little bit.
Oh,
Her time is gonna be up.
Lena's young.
She's going to DC. She's gonna be. I can see her as running a vice president or president one day.
You know, I'm friends with Lena.
Okay.
And I think she's doing a great job. I think for coming in as such a young person
Very
into
young.
such a big position, I think she's held it down well. I think she's matured a lot. She's held her ground.
Yeah.
It is a lot that these elected officials deal with behind the scenes.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And it's just, I literally love what I do. I have a team of 4 other women, and we are growing. We're going to be adding someone else in the next 30 days.
Okay.
I have like the best clients. I enjoy marketing. Like, I love creating something that's my own. I can call Audia. And even my friend, there will always be a need for us, right? So even though there's other personal injury attorneys out there, everybody's not created equally.
Right.
And there's definitely not a lot that look like us.
Absolutely.
And what I tell people is, no matter what field you're in, like even when I'm going for a doctor, for myself, for the kids, or a dentist, I'm looking for someone that's like me, because they're going to be 9 times out of 10, they're going to be more empathetic to me.
Right.
Or they're going to be more empathetic to telling me, hey, this is what's really going on. Because I remind them of their family member. I remind them, and that's just the way human nature works. So I like being that option for people. Like with my good friend got in an accident, and she went to the wrong place. I said, "Come on over here. I'll take care of it." You know.
We're not gonna mention that.
No, we're not gonna mention no names. But you know, it's just but being able to be a resource and being able to be a mouth, and then having the knowledge and being good at it. I am good at it. You know, I hate to toot my own horn, but I'm very good at that practice.
So you know what's funny? You say that because I was talking to a friend, and they were speaking about like how we have to dumb ourselves down. Even if we're good, or if we're the brightest, the best, we are like, well, you know, that really wasn't me. But, well, I don't understand why we don't highlight ourselves more It's like, no, I am the smartest. I am the best in this room. I am the high.
And I wouldn't even say the smartest. I don't think I'm the smartest. I have clients that are smarter than me. I think I have mastered. I'm a people person, and I can mix that with practicing the law.
Okay.
And to be a good practitioner, like a good litigator, you have to have both. Some people think, oh, it's like Law and Order, where you got to be stiff and robotic. You know, some people see me, they're like, you're an attorney? I'm like, yeah. You can be you're a human.
Right.
And people can relate to humans. And if you're relatable and you know you know the law, that's dangerous.
You ever heard of an author named Michael Gladwell?
I did, yeah.
So he has a book called Outliers.
Yes, Outliers. I read that. My husband had me send it out to me when I was in D.C., so I read that in D.C.
So they have the ones that are connectors. They connect people. I think he called them mavens, I believe. They connect people. They have access, resources, knowledge, understanding, but they just can't put it together. But they know other individuals, and they connect them.
Right.
So that made me think of that.
Okay.
Let me ask you this. When it comes to, I forget what I was going to ask. I was thinking about something else.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, your faith.
Yes.
Your faith. How important is your faith in what you do?
I think it's very important. I have a strong belief in God. I'm not overly churchy.
Okay.
Like, I don't, for me, I know there's different people are like, I have to be in church every Sunday. I believe God is with you wherever you are.
Okay.
And whoever you surround yourself with, if it's good people, where it says where two or more people gather, that's where God is. So I don't believe you have to be in church, but I do have a very, very strong faith. And I don't believe in accidents. But I do believe God will meet you halfway if you are willing to do the work.
So the reason I asked that, and you kind of answered the question, but I'm going to ask it to you in a formal way.
Okay.
Faith. Not faith. Fate. Sometimes your fate chooses you versus you choosing it.
Yes.
Right? So it's like, from me listening to your story, seems like you're just catching up to your fate.
Correct. I agree.
It's happening. It's going to happen anyway.
I agree.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah. I agree. There are so many steps I look back on. I was like, I was miserable when I was living in D.C. It was a great experience, wonderful on my resume. But even when I worked for the late Congresswoman, like I got paid nothing. So I had to like rely on my parents. I'm like, hey, can you pay for me to rent this room? I was living in gutter. Like the kitchen was infested with roaches. So I had to keep my food upstairs.
Shout out to the roaches, man.
Shout out to the roaches.
That's the best living right there.
And Deshaun used to say that. I'm like, get off my phone. I think I hung up on him one time.
That's the best living.
I was like, they are definitely selling drugs next door. He was like, it builds character. I was like, just leave me alone.
That is correct. Deshaun, you was right.
But
the roaches build character.
But it worked out for when I came back to Houston, and when I ran for DA, I was able to, I even though I was not in Houston, I was still working for the people of Houston. So it was a lot of stuff, and I never thought I would be an attorney years ago. But when I was an undergrad, they had us write a business plan. For some reason, I was like, well, let me just make up a law firm. At that time, I didn't want to be an attorney, but I wrote a law firm, a plan to build a law firm. I never wanted my own practice.
And it came to fruition.
But here I am with my own practice, a successful practice.
I told you, man. So you said something earlier that they that states in the Bible, say where two or three are gathered, that's where God will be in the midst. It also says whatever you think or say, it shall come to pass.
Yes.
People always put emphasis on saying it,
but they don't believe it, though.
Or they don't believe it, or you could just think without even saying it, and it happens.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. So just let me know when you need. So look, we got to get out of here. But before I get out of here, I want to ask you, for like a young black girl, a young minority sister that sees you, they say, well, I admire her. She's my inspiration. She motivates me. Are there any opportunities for young people to do like interns or just an intern?
Yeah, absolutely. We've had interns before, young men and women.
Okay.
I talk to both because I'm a mother of a boy and a girl, so I never like to discount our young black men.
They're not Irish twins, are they?
They sure are not.
Right.
They're about 4 years apart.
All right, gotcha.
Yes, if not an internship with my firm, I can direct you for our young men. I usually like to send them to either speak with my husband or speak with someone in their field. So if I have someone that calls me, hey, I'm looking to start a podcast, I'm looking to have my own business, I'm gonna call my line sister Michelle and be like, hey, can you put him in touch? Can put him in touch with Adam. So I will be the plug for those people. But I am a huge believer and foster of dreams.
Okay.
You will never come to me and ever hear me shoot down a dream. If you come to me and say, hey, this is what I want to do, I'm going to be like, what, let me figure out what I can do to help you.
That's a blessing.
Mm-hmm.
Blessing. Last question.
Yes.
Some people say a smart person came up with this quote. They said, the painter has to have a canvas in order for his art to display. I'm saying that to say, you married another attorney.
Yes.
So who is the artist and who is the canvas?
He is the artist. I'll give him the credit.
Okay.
I'll give him the credit. So I always laugh because, how do I say this? My personality has always been pretty much the same. I've always been I don't really have a gray area.
Okay.
I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing.
So it's black or white?
It's black or white with me.
I got you.
There is no in between.
I had a teacher like that.
I've always been like that.
Either you pass or you fail.
Yeah, I've always been like that. Even my mother said, she was like, you don't even sugar. And once I say something, I say it and I'm done with it. I don't hold. Now, if you do something and I take it as a slight, now I'm going to hold a grudge though.
I got you. So that's the gray area right there.
That's my gray area.
I got you.
And so,
I got you.
But in any event, my husband's definitely an artist. He is a very creative mind. That's why he was able to win his elections. He gave me the ideas like, hey, with the campaign, whatever. But he's been in successful campaigns. He ran for Texas Supreme Court, and he's a big supporter. So he will always push me out there. I'm like, I don't want to run for DA. At the time, we were raising our niece who was 8, and then we had our newborn. And so we had already had 2 kids at that time, even though now we have our own 2 kids. But I was like, hey, I kind of feel bad. I don't think I'm supposed to be doing this. He was like, the only thing you should feel bad about is you don't go out there and give it 100%. Right. So he's really the one that like kind of kicks me in my butt and is like, get out there. Yeah. And I was like, no, I don't want to start a firm. He's like, are you silly?
Why not?
He's like, do it. He's like, you can do it.
And nothing to lose. Why not?
So I'll give him the credit. He is the artist, and I will be the canvas.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So before we get out of here, information, how can the people get in contact with you, websites, anything?
Yeah.
Merch, whatever.
Listen, we got the hats. You see the hats. You guys see the hats. We have pins. Shout out to the waitresses and waiters out there. If you guys need more pins, let us know. We'll bring them around to you in Houston. And the business card is the gold card. You can take it out. You don't have to let people know it's my business card. You can act like it's a real gold card. But to get in touch with us, we are at www.audiajones.com. We are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you have been injured in any type of accident, do not delay. Give us a call ASAP. There are so many things that go on when you wait to call an attorney. But you don't want to just call anybody because some of them attorneys will rob you blind.
Absolutely.
You can call us, 713-714-6519. But the most active way is on social media. On Instagram, we give a lot of tips. We have a lot of interesting videos. We have a lot of fun videos. Take a look at it. You'll see some of my team members on there, my staff. We give you suggestions if you have new drivers in your household. So follow us at Call Audia Now. So just CALL, Audia, AUDIA, Now, NOW.
Call Audia Now. That's it. Make sure y'all go hit Audio up. If anything happens, look, call her. If y'all have a family member or a loved one